entitled SIL wants custody of my baby background. Me, 36F, SIL, 40F. I've been married to her brother for over 10 years, and there's always been some jealousy and resentment from her. She's always felt like I had the life she wanted, not necessarily with her brother, but the marriage, family, job stability, etc. I have 3 kids, 10F, 8M, 3 months female. She got married last year and they decided to start trying for a baby, but she was unfortunately told that she can't have children naturally. She was understandably devastated, and the family comforted her as best as we could. We recently had a family dinner, and in the middle of it, she says, Angel 698. I think it's really unfair that you got to have 3 kids, and I can't have any. Your baby is my last chance to raise a child, so I think you should give her to me during the week so I can create a motherly bond with her, and you can have her on weekends. Before I could respond, the entire table erupted with everyone talking at once, so I took my older kids upstairs. When I got back to the dining room, her husband was asking, what the hell is wrong with her, and why would she even think to ask that? She was trying to justify herself when I asked them to leave. I also said that she's no longer welcomed at my house or around my children until she gets help. She started screaming that I don't deserve my life or my children and that I stole her baby from her. Her husband and Mile kept apologizing and dragged her out of the house, still crying and screaming. Now my kids want to know why their aunt wants to take the baby. Edit. I've been reading the comments, but it's too many to reply to. So here are a few points. We have a security system and cameras already installed, and no one has keys to our house. I will not be able to get a restraining order as this one incident isn't enough to justify it. My husband and I spoke to the older kids about it the same night, and we'll be having another talk with them to reinforce that SIL is not a safe person anymore. Our country does not have the right to bear arms, and I also have no interest in getting a gun. I'll be informing the school and daycare of the issue and giving them her photo. For those questioning the validity of the post, I completely understand. If I had heard about this last week, I wouldn't believe it either, but it's unfortunately the situation I'm currently dealing with. Relevant comments. More on security. We already have a security system and cameras because there's been a trend of house break-ins in our area lately. No one has the code or keys to our house, not even the in-laws, so we're safe on that front. Unfortunately, a restraining order won't happen because it will take a lot more than this to justify requesting one. We've never relied on her for childcare or pickups, so she's essentially a stranger to the daycare and school. Diagnosed as infertile after a year is pretty early. Is she sure she is? She was having issues not related to trying to conceive, and the fertility issues were discovered in the course of trying to sort out those other issues. Her tubes are blocked, and although IVF may be an option, they're not in a position to do that now or in the near future. Was her husband aware she was going to try that? He wasn't. He actually called the next day to apologize again. He said he knew she was having a hard time accepting the infertility, and they were looking into counseling for it. Your quote from her is not how real people talk. It's not verbatim. There were pauses in between and responses. So after she said the first sentence, I looked at her like, WTF, then looked at my husband and he asked her what she's talking about. She ignored him and continued speaking directly to me. I didn't want to detail every aspect of the conversation. Update. So my sister-in-law has been admitted to a psychiatric facility. In the comments of my previous post, I mentioned that her husband was seeking out counseling for them to deal with the infertility prior to this incident. After the incident, he sought out a psychiatrist rather than a counselor, and they had their first session last week. I didn't get the specifics of what happened, but basically she made some statements that the psychiatrist felt indicated she was a danger to others, my baby and me, and she was placed under an involuntary hold. My Bill has been nothing but apologetic through this entire ordeal, and he kept her away from us since the incident. Mill was staying with them to keep an eye on SIL. She tried to leave the house in the middle of the night to see her baby. Also, Bill found her researching how to induce lactation, and she said it was to make sure she can feed the baby properly when I come to my senses and give her up. From what Bill has said, seeing me breastfeed is apparently what triggered the entire episode. It was the first time SIL was around the baby for any length of time, and she was holding her when she got fussy because she was hungry. Naturally, I took her to feed her, and this made SIL feel inadequate because it triggered the thought that she would never be able to do that, which led to the events of the last post. I'm grateful for all the advice that was offered on my last post, as some of it was really helpful. We won't be moving, as it's not feasible for us at the moment, but we have taken extra steps with security both at home and at the kids' school, daycare. This whole thing is taking a toll on the family, but Phil, and Bill are taking care of SIL, and my husband and I are focused on ensuring the safety of our immediate family and minimizing the effect on the kids as much as we can. Relevant comments. Therapy for the kids? My kids were able to have 2 sessions with the guidance counselor at school, one with both of them and then individual sessions, and my husband and I are looking into a therapist to have a few family sessions as well. I don't want my kids to be fearful and unable to enjoy their childhood because of this.